Hello, I'm Clark Anthony. And for the next several minutes, we're going to be talking about the city's new strategic plan. You may have already heard something about it. On February 17th, Mayor Faulkner released a video announcing the plan. But we're going to get into what it means to you, so get your popcorn. The mission of the plan is to effectively serve and support the communities in the city. And the vision is to have a world-class city for all. It's based on values we can probably all agree on, like integrity, service, people, and excellence. Still with me? Well, here's the thing. The strategic plan has goals for the next 5 years. People used to say that when you went into a job interview, you should expect to be asked where you want to be 5 years from now. I always hated that question. Well, the strategic plan asks the city where it wants to be 5 years from now and how it expects to get there. It has 3 goals. First, provide high-quality public service. That's where you come in, but it's also where the city has to step up and create a culture to focus on customer service and give you the tools and technology to pull it off. Second, have safe and livable neighborhoods. Now, this gets to not only where you work, but where we all live. Protect lives and property, reduce crime, invest in infrastructure. Third, create a prosperous city. Grow the economy, increase water independence, prepare for climate change, enhance San Diego's place in the world. Along the way, the plan's going to be measured to see how it's going and evaluated to keep the plan on track. Now, those are some lofty goals. Can it be done? Well, let's ask the guys who are hanging their hats on this thing succeeding. The city's Chief Operating Officer, Scott Chadwick, and the Director of the brand new Performance and Analytics Department, Almis Udrys. Gentlemen, thank you. Scott, let me start with you. Now, I just breezed through the highlights of the strategic plan. Obviously, a lot of thought and energy has gone into this thing. But realistically, do you really think it's going to happen?
Realistically, absolutely, 100% this is going to happen. This is something that has been a long time coming, a city desperately in need of a true north or a correcting compass to get us headed in the right direction, and a strategic plan, something that the executive team in the mayor's office and Ken Blanchard worked in putting this together. This is absolutely going to put us headed in the right direction for the city for the next 5 years, and then we look forward to doing the next 5 years.
Now, you mentioned a lot of the people at the top, and I'm thinking as a typical city employee, maybe they're thinking, well, yeah, but this is just going to be something that the directors deal with. You know, how does it involve me?
Well, if you look at the kind of key components that we're valuing as an organization, it's incumbent on every single employee to participate to try and make this thing work. If we don't have employee buy-in, it's not going to work. And that's why I think the things that we value as an organization, they were critical in continuing, I think, a very proactive measure or approach. This is going to work out great for the city, and I think it's going to work out great for employees.
Almis, even if you get everybody to buy into this, obviously at some point there has to be a report card. How do you find out if it's working, if the plan is on target, and that you're actually getting anywhere, making progress?
Well, with each of the 3 goals, we have established key performance indicators for the city. There are 32 total in the strategic plan. These are citywide performance indicators. So basically what we identified as a team was what are the highest level metrics, if you will, that the public, the mayor, the council, our own departments would like to know about in terms of how are we doing? What progress are we making? And the key word here is progress. We're looking for progress on all of these fronts. There's no magic silver bullet because everything costs money to implement. So we want to make sure that we identify the goals that we're trying to get to and work towards that and involve the entire city and all of our employees in that process.
Now, 32 criteria seem to be a lot. How did you come up with those? Is it really the way this should be judged?
Well, 32 are the citywide measures. Each one of those measures are very high level. So for example, we've got one that talks about improving police, fire, and emergency medical response times. That's a very high level measure. We have multiple departments that participate in providing that service. So each one of those departments has to line up with that measure and find how do we fit in and how can we contribute towards improving response times. So yeah, 32 is the most streamlined number that we could come up with for the entire city. We're a massive organization. We have 1.3 million customers, our residents, as well as the tens of millions that come to visit in tourism every year. So 32 is fair. You look at some other cities across the country and the world, some have as many as 100 at the citywide level. And what we're hoping to do as a team is build a dashboard where you can hone in on any one of these measures and find the specifics that underneath each measure. So getting into some very specific information to help the residents understand how we're doing.
Oh, this seems to be your baby. Are you going to be the one that's going out there with your little checklist and making sure everybody's really on board and moving ahead?
Well, I will be one of the people that doing that. Again, we're hoping that the entire city will be buying into this. We involved management from the entire organization in the development of this plan. Each of those managers involved their key deputies to help inform the plan. We reached out to our employee organizations for feedback. So we've gotten a very large swath of feedback already, but this is going to be a living document. We're going to be continuing to develop additional features for this because, as I indicated, we have many departments, over 30. Scott probably knows the exact number. But each one of those departments will have to find their place in this plan, and we believe they will, and we believe there will be additional steps that each of those departments takes to feed into this larger vision.
And I would assume that if somebody has an idea that they want to contribute, you'd be willing to hear it. Scott, you talked about the people and organizations that got together to form this. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the strategic plan was developed?
Well, the strategic plan was developed over, I think, I want to say it was about a 3-month period, multiple meetings where we locked ourselves in a room with Ken Blanchard, with folks from the Department of Performance and Analytics, and then from the executive team. And we started talking about what's important for the organization. And first we started kind of the broad strokes of establishing a mission, establishing vision for the organization. What are the key values for the organization? And then from there we started getting a little deeper into the nuts and bolts of, I think, a plan that's come together, I think, amazingly well. And this huge commitment that this organization was able to achieve, it was really cohesive. There wasn't a lot of disagreement. It was a pleasure to work with.
Almis?
Yeah, I think it's important to also understand kind of the context in which we undertook this initiative. From many years ago, the city didn't have much of a strategic plan. If we did, it was one of those that just kind of sat on the shelf. One person put it together, and there it sat. This one, we wanted to involve as many people as we could out of the gate, and also create something that could be a living document, a living process. And so this is, I think, the first time we've created such a robust document with as much input as we got.
I like the fire in your eyes, but as the devil's advocate, that was the first thing I was thinking is how many reports do we have sitting on how many shelves collecting dust? Can you just give me one more reason why, or how are you going to make sure this one actually continues to get kicked further down?
Well, as I indicated, this is just the first step in a multi-year process for the city. So in the past, you had this strategic plan developed, for example, and that would be that big fanfare and it's over. We decided to do this in a phased approach so that you start with the citywide vision, mission, values, goals, and objectives and key performance indicators, and then we start conversations with each one of our branches. We have 6 branches at the city. And then we move even deeper into the departments. This is going to be an 18-month effort where we go and we have conversations with every single one of our departments in the financial groups, in the police and public safety groups, in our infrastructure and public works groups, in our planning and neighborhood services groups, internal operations. Everybody's going to hear about this because we have more work to do to get every single department to see its role and its place in this larger context.
And if I could add, this is something where you don't want to rush. If you want buy-in for the organization, you don't want the organization to go through kind of an organizational whiplash effect where suddenly they're immersed in it or they're hit with it and they don't have an opportunity to really soak it in. We want to be very, I think, diligent in our approach. We need the buy-in of our employees in order for this to be successful. This is great for the organization. One of the other steps that we're actually taking to ensure the success of this is anything that goes before City Council, we're going to make sure that we indicate what performance measure it aligns to. So this is, and then at the end of the year, we can do a scorecard to talk about this many fell into goal 1, this many fell into goal 2, this many fell into goal 3, and that way we can see where we've been and how we're doing. But again, this is huge buy-in for the organization, and it'll be, I think, a hugely successful outcome.
Let me ask you about the phrase world-class city. Now, you're talking about a lot of different programs, a lot of different departments. Usually we think world-class city, you identify things like, you've got a convention center that's expanded, or you have a great downtown library, or a football team, or, a wonderful international airport someplace. It almost, world-class city kind of sounds like a political slogan. Can it be more than that?
Well, a world-class city, remember our initial slogan is America's finest city, and that's been in place for since the 70s. I think that sets our aspirations too low. This is something where for the city of San Diego, we are on a world stage with the emerging global economy. The world has gotten smaller, and as a result of, I think, communications, the ability to successfully put information out there, it makes it so that, yes, San Diego can compete, I think, and be a world-class city that everyone can value and appreciate and hopefully learn from.
Almost a few more specifics for the people that are looking in. What are you counting on the city employees to do specifically to help make this successful?
What we would first like every city employee to do is to understand that we value them and we recognize that they are a key component to us becoming a world-class city as the vision calls for. The value of people was actually a suggestion by Ken Blanchard, who is a well-renowned management consulting expert and kind of globally well-known, goes and speaks on this topic and teaches and has written many books.
He could have gotten this all done in 60 minutes, I think. Isn't that his thing?
He was very, very, he really stressed the importance of making sure that we communicate with our employees, and we stress how important and valuable they are. And you can see in some of the goals and objectives that we have, making sure that our employees have the tools and the training in place in order to be able to deliver those world-class services that our customers expect.
You have some notes in front of you. I have the strategic plan, little short brochure. A city employee wanted to actually read all of these things and be able to get in further depth. What's the best way for them to explore it?
Speak with your manager, your director, and you can find a way to get your hands on this. We'd like this to be in the hands of all 10,000 of our employees. And
as it rolls out, you really expect that this is going to affect basically everything that the city does?
Yes. Yes, I absolutely think it's going to affect everything the city does. But again, this is something where we can continuously improve as an organization. And I think if an organization isn't focused on that, they become dated, their message becomes stale, and I think they lose their way. Whereas something like this, bringing something like this back, the timing couldn't be better.
And this is not the last time the city employees are going to hear about this from you or both of you, I imagine, right, Almis?
That's correct. In fact, there's a number of performance indicators in here that apply to our city employees, including training for delivering professional customer services, as well as, again, providing the tools and the equipment. We'll also be doing a resident satisfaction survey because it's been a long time since we've actually heard from our residents other than through a phone call or a complaint. How do you really feel about the services that the city is providing? I think we'll be pleasantly surprised by how people do feel about the city and the services that we can deliver to our customers. But I think there will also be some lessons to be learned and some improvements that we can make and we should make and we will make.
And when we're done, I want to ask you about a pothole that's in front of my house, as a matter of fact. Well, no, we'll get to that later. Gentlemen, thank you very much for sharing the information about our strategic plan.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
All right, you've heard it from the mayor and now from your management team, and now it's time for you to put the plan into action. Here's a recap of how to do that. Beginning April 15th, all 1472 users must identify how their request for council action supports the city's strategic plan. This is done by identifying which goals and objectives that the action pertains to. Beginning July 1st, all mayoral departments must demonstrate how their budget requests align with the city's strategic plan. And finally, all strategic plans at the branch and department levels must link to the city's strategic plan. Thanks for watching, and thanks to each of you for the great work you do every day to make San Diego a world-class city for all.